Howdy, everybody. Today is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, and the time is 5:30 p.m. We're here for the regular session of the Coppell City Council. We do have a quorum present, so I'm calling the meeting to order. We're convening into executive session in the first floor conference room. At the end of the executive session, I'll come out and announce that we're entering into work session, at which time the public is invited and encouraged to join us. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. The time is 5:58 p.m. We have adjourned from executive session. We're moving into work session in the first floor conference room. The public is invited and encouraged to join us. Thank you very much.
I go to Coppell in Grapevine, right after the Coppell. I'm just like, he's wasting.
Moving into work session, we've got 4 agenda items. The first one is discussion of the agenda for the council. I had one here, and it was item E. I noticed that this is extending your tenure through 2030 as a TML risk pool member. Does that mean you're going to be with us through 2030?
It's up to y'all.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Good. That's what I want to hear.
I couldn't resist.
Okay.
Any discussion on any other agenda items? Or, excuse me, consent agenda, or agenda items? That was easy. All right, moving on.
Tom's not here.
That's true. Item B, this is a discussion regarding the community's allyship initiative. Lacey McKinney. We are making some changes to the ally program, and it's, just like everything else, it's evolving and growing and maturing, and this is the next step in its evolution. So, Lacey?
All right.
Oh. Getting comfortable. We did this for now.
Yeah.
All right. So good evening, Mayor and Council. I am Lacey McKinney, member of the Employee Experience Team. And so I'm here to talk about the Coppell's Allyship Initiative Evolution. And so we've been on this journey for 10 years. And so we started internally with cultural agility. And then in 2018, we launched the Allies and Communities initiative where we combined our community members and our staff members. And so from the beginning, we knew that we were going to bring this program in-house. And so it was based on the right conditions. And so those right conditions came about with our new Employee Experience Team in 2022, and then specifically my role, focusing in on allyship education. And so what I'm going to do is talk you through that evolution, right? And so we're going to talk about the evolution from a cohort-style program, shifting to a program that's going to be an open approach that's going to reach all 40,000+ community members. So I'm going to walk you through what that will look like. And so here is our primary objective. And so I want to take a moment to read this to you because I want it to really soak in. And so our primary objective is to curate immersive learning experiences that transcend boundaries and forge deeper connections among the community and city staff. By fostering meaningful interactions, we aim to nurture a more tightly knit community where neighbors know their neighbors, all while encouraging active engagement with the rich tapestry of Coppell's offering. And so this objective is very important because it has specific language in here that aligns with our Vision 2040, right? And so as you're looking at that objective, you start to see where we will have a laboratory of learning. We will have learning opportunities throughout the program. We will have our moments and experiences where community members will be able to foster an inclusive community fabric. And so if we put those two together and you look at Pillar 3, we will be able to create and enhance that unique community oasis through those two, Pillar 1 and Pillar 2. And so what I want to do with the 5-year plan, I want to walk you through this 5-year plan. And so it is a strategic plan that builds upon one another. And so what we look at each year over year, we are introducing a new component of allyship to the community through these years, through the 5 years. And so I'm going to walk you through and share with you and highlight from each year of the program. And so with year one is all about setting that foundation, right? And so what we're doing, the highlight of that program, or highlight of this year, is going to do road shows. And so what we want to do with these road shows, we're going to go out into the community, to our community groups, and do this in small groups of people to start talking about what we are doing, how we are evolving this program. And what we want to do with that is build that first start of our foundational support with those road shows. And so you see on here on the slide there, you see the small list of organizations, but it's many others that we can reach and go out and talk to. But we want to start here with these groups and then build upon that. And so the purpose of those road shows, we want to communicate our commitment to fostering an inclusive community fabric, right? We want to go out to these community groups and talk about the evolution of this allyship program, that shift from a cohort style to an open program that's going to reach 40,000 plus members. We also want these community groups to find their place in this new initiative, to be able to see that early on. And then finally, we want to be able to provide a tangible outcome of Vision 2040 to the community. And so in year 2, we're building upon it, so you'll notice how this starts to build. And so in year 2, the highlight of year 2 is all around a community pledge. And so this community pledge will be social in nature, and so it will be on social media. We will push this out through social media, but we'll also have it where community members will be talking about it and saying that I'm going to uphold this community pledge, and say that I will uphold certain behaviors as I'm interacting in the community, as I'm interacting and going to events, and as I'm interacting with staff members. And so I want to give you an example of what this community pledge can look like. And so you may be familiar with the city's cornerstone. And so through the city's cornerstone, it's all about talking about how the city as a city employee will behave, right? And so that's something, an ideal of what the community pledge will look like. You also see the Athenian oath. And so this is a timeless code of civic responsibility. And so this is very familiar oath that is out there. But what I want to specifically point to is the behaviors that we added to the application for cohort 4. And it's simply just saying with these behaviors, it's saying I will uphold and be an advocate for common good. I will be committed to meaningful civic engagement, and then I will balance your own needs with those of the groups. And so this is an ideal of what those behaviors will look like in that community pledge in year 2. And then as we look at year 3, we're continuously building and adding on programs. And so in year 3, we're looking at collaborating with community experiences and expanding what Kaleidoscope looks like. And so now you see Kaleidoscope is a one-day program that's about a couple of hours, right? And so what we want to do is add to that program and introduce a full weekend of celebrating, right? And so we're going to have art, we're going to have dance, we're going to have music, and with the allyship education adding on, we're creating this laboratory of learning. So think about a summit in a nature, right, is what we're trying to add on there for year 3. And so you see how that starts to continuously build upon one another and add something new to the program. And so then in year 4, this is where things start to come together and you see the full program start to form. And so we will continue on with the weekend of celebratory events. We will continue to see the art, the dance, the music around Kaleidoscope, and you'll still see the learning opportunities that will be available over that weekend. But what we want to do here in year 4 is add on some ongoing learning throughout the full program. And so you'll start to see year over year some things that are happening at the beginning of a year, throughout the year, that will lead up to Kaleidoscope is what we are adding in on year 4. And so with these, we're going to do community conversations where community members and staff will be able to engage and connect to one another. Looking at the learning opportunities, we are thinking as doing simple as having kits at the library where families can check those out and take them home, and at the kitchen table can sit and have conversations around allyship education, right? And so we're building upon and adding those type of programs into year 4. And then in year 5, we hope to be at a program that's sustainable. We hope to have a sustainable framework of allyship that is introduced into the community. And so this is what year 5 will look like. It's basically just continuing it on what year 4 will look like. But in year 5, we are looking at refining it, right? And looking at focusing in on what will be sustainable to bring and have into the community year after year. And so we're up to talking about council, right? And council's role in this. And basically what we're saying is continue to do what you always have done, right? And we appreciate your continued support in the programs that we have. And that's basically what we are sharing here about your role. We want you to continue to participate. We want you to continue to engage and show up at the different events. Continue to model the behaviors, and specifically model those behaviors that we're putting forth in the community pledge. And then finally, just tell your neighbor. Talk about it, share it, invite them to come along with you and engage in what we have with this new program. And so I want to talk about our milestones. Very simple. We're here today talking and I'm presenting to you about the initiative. And then so the next steps that I will go through is our branding. And so we'll build a brand identity around the program. We're going to start to plan and host our road shows. And then we're going to evaluate year 1. And we're going to start to plan for year 2. And so those are the milestones that will get us all the way through this current year that we're in. So say thank you. So I appreciate you all listening to me, and I appreciate your support. And so if you have any questions, I'm open to them.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Tracy, huge fan of the Allies program, as you know, Cohort 4. I'm just curious, other cities in US that have our level of diversity, have you done any benchmarking on what they're doing? Can we copy ideas?
I haven't necessarily benchmarked what they're doing, but I am familiar to say that I've even talked to, and I want to say it's the city of Irving, I believe, and I know that they are trying to produce programs like this. So a number of these cities around us have not gotten to this amount of engagement and connecting in with what the city is doing, as well as what the community members may want. There may be one entity doing something, but they're not connected in. So we are really, miles ahead of what individuals are doing right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, in conversations with the Irving mayor, they're just getting started. Brianna?
First of all, thank you. I really like this. I love the fact that you thought through, there's kind of baby steps along the way, and so we can measure and be flexible and adaptable as needed, and therefore you kind of have some KPIs to work against. So I really like that. Thank you. I was curious if we are looking to in any way collaborate with the school district in any of this. Okay.
Yes. So I did not add them to my list of road shows, but they are on my longer list. Okay. And so we do plan to have conversations with them to see how we can connect and collaborate.
Okay,
yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
You should.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy, for the presentation. Since 2018, you said we had 4 cohorts, right?
Yes.
How many students came through that program? Total?
So approximately, if we add in our community members and our staff, we've had approximately about 120 individuals go through that program.
That's during the COVID we had through Zoom, right?
Yes.
Including those students? I know Mayor attended one of them.
Yeah, it was in 2020.
Yeah.
It was a tough year.
So another follow-up question is, I know Easter egg hunting is no longer, we are doing it, and you said Kaleidoscope we are not doing today? We stopped doing it, right?
So Kaleidoscope is a program that is currently still being held, yes. And so what I'm looking at doing is just collaborating with them to extend and expand what they're doing. So that is still going to function in the same manner with the art, the music, and the dance, but we want to expand it into a full weekend.
So I see that you're only requesting $30,000 for this. I mean, soon we're going to have 40% of the people who lives in Coppell is going to be foreign-born people here. Do you need additional funding or for the engagement with the residents here, or these kind of events or these kind of programs?
Sure, so as we go along, we will, kind of look at our funding and measure it across. Right now, that $30,000 is just to start our program, and so to get us through those different milestones, and so start to do the branding, start to plan our road shows, and so as we go year over year and really start to build out those plans fully, we'll be able to see what that financial impact will be. And so yes, I can see it increasing from that $30,000 as we get into the 5-year plan.
So we are no longer doing allies in the community.
No, we're not.
I remember, if it, correct me wrong, it was funded $50,000 or something.
It was more.
It was more? Okay. So we stopped that and we are transferring that fund to this?
Well, if I understand your question correctly, instead of spending what we were spending, we're spending less, and it's 30,000 that's in the budget.
Okay. Thank you.
Lacey, when you got started, I was listening, and I was a little concerned that we were going to be, since we were pulling out of the Allies program, that we were going to be cutting down our activities, but we're not doing that at all. We're going to continue with Kaleidoscope. We're going to continue with the other outreach programs. Quite honestly, I see National Night Out as one of them. I see the, of course, Neighbors Helping Neighbors. These are all community-based. So we're not actually pulling back or retreating on any of the existing programs that we're doing. Is that correct?
Not at all.
Okay.
No, we're actually adding to the programs as we build through the years.
Okay, thank you. Kevin.
Lacey, thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. So, Bijou actually asked me a question about the 30,000, so I appreciate you kind of asking what that was going to be for. So appreciate the understanding the milestones and kind of how you're going to use that, and then obviously it's kind of like a, repurposing of Ally, the current Allies program and kind of using that funding. So, yes, my question is like, so we've kind of got this like 5-year, outlook, if you will, kind of what you're thinking. Can I ask, like, what's like the big, hairy, audacious goal for this thing? Like, is it to turn Kaleidoscope into a summit, and is that the big paramount, or is there something kind of bigger on the horizon, or are you not quite sure yet, kind of how that's maybe forms, or I just want to know, like, what's the big giant goal, like, in your vision?
Yes, so the big goal is to get to a sustainable program that introduces or reintroduces allyship education into the community. And so what we ultimately want to do is give the community a tangible outcome of Vision 2040. And so I feel like that's, to me, the ultimate goal of what we're trying to reach, is to give the community what they ask for, basically, through the Vision 2040. And so when I look at year 4 and 5 and looking at the full program of a cultural weekend, and then also looking at year-long programs that we can offer, that's where we're trying to go. We want to make this a sustainable program. And so I feel like that's my big goal that we're trying to reach, is to give the community what they want and then bring it to them all year long.
Just a follow-up to that, do you have any kind of like vision or idea? Because I think about Kaleidoscope and kind of how that's evolved from, I remember at one time, I think it was Bounce or something, and then it evolved into, this cultural celebration. But I know that people from outside of Coppell come and enjoy Kaleidoscope. So does that, obviously the intent is to, build allies within the community, right? But are there any ambition to like any regional reach or anything like that, or have you even considered that yet? Like what that might look like?
That is not something we have considered.
Okay.
We're focusing in right now at the community level, and then as things come, as this continues to build, we will then address that at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Ramesh?
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to agree with Councilmember Biju that we are a community where there's enough diversity that in the future we need to spend more money. I definitely will be supportive of that. And the second point I wanted to make, Mayor, is when I was in Allies, I really enjoyed the fellowship I had with the city staff and first responders. Speaking as a South Asian, I think as a community, it does not intuitively come for us to reach out and network with city staff and first responders. So in the future, as you develop your milestone plan, any ideas you have to bring those residents with city staff and first responders would be a great idea.
Yes, so
Thank you.
that is currently in the plan with our community conversations. We see that as one being a joint effort between our community members and our staff being invited to participate in those conversations.
Thank you.
Anybody, anything else? Thank you very much. Lacey, we're all very excited or looking forward to seeing how this evolves. We knew that Allies was not going to be the end-all solution. I just saw it as a very good getting our feet wet, and this is the next evolution in that process. So thank you very much for bringing this forward to us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Item C is a discussion regarding the retail results and RFP. Just as a reminder, we've got our tour. There's a lot of little pieces that go into retail, and we will be having a larger discussion on Old Town later. But there's a lot of little pieces that we need to get under our belt before we go there. This is part of that. And then keep in mind that on August the 17th, we're going to be doing a tour of some local cities, and I'm looking forward to that as well. So, Katie? I wasn't sure how to do your last name, so I'm not. Is
Sure.
it Bless?
It's blessed.
Blessed?
Yes, you got
Oh,
it.
Okay.
Yeah. I got
Very-
married last year, but
very
it
phonetic.
took me a while to finally get the paperwork done. So, okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I will be presenting to you the results from the retail survey that was conducted earlier this year. This is an informational briefing only. No action will be required from this presentation. So staff hired On Point Insights to conduct this survey. We do have Ron Gailey joining us virtually from On Point Insights here tonight. This is the same company we've worked with previously to conduct other surveys within recent years. This survey was open for responses from May 2nd through May 21st, and during that time frame we received 1,317 responses. The survey asked a variety of questions regarding dining and shopping behaviors, and it took an average of 6 to 8 minutes for participants to complete. This presentation will go over the most notable findings from the survey. However, if you wish to see anything in more detail, the full survey results are included in your packets, and you should have also received a link to review the results online on the online dashboard. This graph here illustrates the areas in which residents live who took the survey. As you can see, we received the highest response rate from the south central part of the city, followed by the north and northeastern parts of the city. Here we can see the demographics of the survey participants. I'll pause here for a moment for you to review this breakdown. I would like to highlight that the response rate we got, this 1,317 responses, is a great response rate. We did only need 400 responses to be statistically significant.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What did we do with respect to this survey that got such a high participation rate that we might be able to replicate in future efforts?
I think the nature of this survey alone
Just the subject matter?
was popular among our residents.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say in comparison to some of our other surveys, we actually had less responses on this one in comparison to Old Town. So I think just depending on the topic,
Okay.
our surveys are more willing to participate.
Thank you.
So the next few slides will go over the dining related questions from the survey. For frequency of dining out, the survey found that residents dine out on average twice per week, both inside and outside of Coppell. When dining outside of Coppell, residents most frequently visit Grapevine, Irving, Louisville, and South Lake.
I hate to do this, but those add up to more than 100%.
They could select multiple options on survey.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. This slide summarizes the most visited restaurants inside and outside of Coppell. Inside Coppell, residents said they are most frequently visiting Anna Mia's, J. Macklin's, McDonald's, San Danielle's, Hemingway's Brunch, Ole's Tex-Mex, and Victor's Wood Grill. Outside of Coppell, residents said they are most frequently visiting Chick-fil-A, Cane Razzo, Raising Cane's, Whiskey Cake, Texas Roadhouse, In-N-Out Burger, and New York Pizza. The survey asked what kind of dining experiences residents desire to see here in Coppell, and the results show the majority of residents want to see family-friendly options, followed by fine dining, nightlife and bars, food trucks, entertainment options, and pet-friendly options. In terms of specific food types desired here in Coppell, our residents said they most desire a Chick-fil-A. This is the only one that was singled out by name. The rest fell under the following categories. We've got- Okay. On the right, you do see the information on the restaurants visited outside of Coppell, just so if you'd like to draw comparisons on where those fall underneath these categories.
I got a question. Part 8 is not listed.
It did not come up in the survey.
Yeah, I had the same question. It's a 3%. Only 3% of Coppell, 2% of Coppell residents went to
So
Hardy.
it's pulling people from out of
Outside.
the city.
Yeah.
Wow. I knew it was, but I didn't know it was that much. Okay, thank you.
Moving into the retail portion of the survey found that residents are shopping outside of Coppell slightly more than they shop here. When shopping outside of Coppell, residents are most likely to travel to Louisville, South Lake, Irving, and or Grapevine. When asked what items residents are shopping for when they venture outside of Coppell, most said they are shopping for clothing, followed by home furnishings and groceries.
And I found them.
H-E-B.
Or maybe Trader Joe's.
Trader
No.
Trader Joe's. We'll fix that.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
So here are the specific stores residents are shopping out when they go outside of Coppell. Number 1 was Target, followed by Walmart, Costco, Home Depot, Trader Joe's, Nordstrom, and Central Market. When asked what type of stores residents would like to see here in Coppell, residents said they would like to see supermarkets and grocery stores, clothing and apparel stores, and H-E-B. That was the only one singled out by name. Specialty retail, furniture and home furnishings, department stores, and sporting goods stores. And in your packets, there's a top 25 list. This is just the top ones from that list. But if you want to see the full survey results, you do have those. That information does conclude the retail highlights from the survey. Our next step will be to share this information with a retail attraction consultant to determine how feasible it might be to attract some of the desired stores and restaurants mentioned in this survey. We're in the process of recruiting that consultant now, and we should have a proposal for you at a future council meeting on that matter. And with that, I will try to answer any questions you have, or if you have any technical questions on how the survey data was collected or presented, we have Ron Gailey here as well.
Jim?
So the consultant, so it's just looking at feasibility of what we can attract, not actually going out and headhunting.
So the consultant, yes, it'll be they'll be able to give us that information on what's feasible to attract. They also have that just industry-specific knowledge, and they have those relationships with those brands to help us recruiting them as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
How did ethnic stores, grocery stores, did those pop up on the survey?
I don't think so specifically. There were questions in the survey that were you just wrote in your answer, so we could go through the raw data and see if any of those popped up individually, but not enough to show up in the timelines.
Mayor, one of my biggest disappointment, only 4% of respondents were from South Asian community. So they just didn't care to take their survey, so I'm very disappointed.
Any other question for Katie? Thank you very much. This is going into that knowledge base that we're going to have to spend some time on. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Item D is a discussion regarding vector control. Lue is going to be making the presentation. I got to be honest, when I first heard the word vector, I thought we were talking some algebra and math. So this is a little different definition for vector. And we're right in the middle of mosquito season, so it's very appropriate. So, Lue?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. And you're right, vector, first time I heard about it, I've heard about it in a math class. But vector in biology is anything that carries a disease and transmit it to humans. It's called vector. That's correct, I was confused as well. Tonight I would like to give you an overview of our vector control program and answer any questions you might have. As Assistant Director of Community Development, I have a wide range of duties, including protecting public health and minimizing public nuisance. What I enjoy the most about this program, it serves both purposes. It protects public health and at the same time minimize nuisance for our residents. Let me start by giving you an overview of our program. I can confidently say we have one of the best vector control programs in North Texas. I say this for 3 reasons. Number one, we were one of the first cities in North Texas to establish a vector control program in 2002. And for the last 22 years, we have evolved the program to serve our residents' needs. We also have an experienced staff that has been in the field for a very long time. And third, because of our size, we divided the city to 6 different mosquito management areas, which allow us to cover 100% of residential areas every week. Our staff traps mosquitoes from each of those mosquito management areas on Thursday afternoon. We collect the mosquito samples on Friday morning, send it to Dallas County Mosquito Lab, and we get the results on Monday. If any of those samples are positive, we start notifying our resident that we will be spraying that night. We try to spray as soon as possible to help eliminate the possibility of infected mosquito infecting a human. According to CDC, any credible vector control program has to have 6 different components or elements: source reductions, surveillance, larviciding, adulticiding, and personal protection and public education. As you can see from these elements require collaboration between city, our residents, and Dallas County. And I'll talk about each of those elements in the coming slides. I have to point out, that's me in the picture. I had hair at one point. I miss those days. Back to my presentation. All of our activities are based on scientific data. The surveillance is, because of that, surveillance is one of the most critical elements of our program. Mosquito surveillance is the means by which we gather information such as population density, species present in the area, and peak seasonal occurrence that will be used to determine operational strategies for our staff. Our staff began surveillance early in March by walking through our parks, Encore easement, conducting assessment of any areas that could hold water where mosquito can lay their eggs. And we also collaborate with surrounding cities to compare data early in the season to ensure that we all have a unified approach against mosquitoes. The reason we want to collaborate with other cities is because we want to know what type of traps to use. Each of those traps are used to attract different kind of mosquitoes. We have 6 traps in the city, as I said earlier. The gravid traps, the one you see on your left hand, uses stinky water to attract mosquito. So that bucket, we put stinky water in it. It attracts mosquito to come to lay their eggs. When they come to lay their eggs, there's a small electric fan that sucks the mosquito all the way up to the net, to the bag, collection bag or the net. On Friday morning, that mosquito goes to a trip with us to Dallas County. The gravid trap is a little bit different. Gravid trap uses dry ice to attract mosquitoes. So basically what it does, it mimics a human behavior of reducing carbon dioxide, where mosquito come for a blood meal, but here Coppell staff collecting that mosquito, sending it to Dallas County again. The second element of our program is source reduction. Source reduction efforts focus on eliminating any site where mosquito can lay eggs, either by using, and we do that by educating our residents to remove any standing water and dispose any containers in their backyard that might hold water. And when asked, we perform courtesy inspection of residents' backyard to ensure that there's nothing in their backyards that can hold water where mosquito can lay their eggs. We also work with other departments like Public Work to modify areas and habitats such as draining ditches where water can be stagnant and attractive to mosquitoes. So public work staff always help us with that efforts. Source reduction. In areas where it cannot be modified, we introduce mosquito fish to eat larvae. So we employ mosquito fish for very cheap to eat all the larvae in the lawn. It's cost-effective and environmentally friendly approach that we like to use almost anywhere we can. Our third element of the programs is larviciding. The one that you see on the left is what we hand a lot of residents when they come to our office talking about mosquitoes or go to their homes. It's a larvicide that could be safely used by any resident. It lasts for 30 days. On the right side, you see a chemical called Altacid. Our staff is certified to use that kind of chemical that can last up to 90 days. Everything we use, doesn't matter, the one on the left or the right, is ABA approved and species specific, meaning it has no harm to any other insect besides mosquito larvae. Adulticiding. That's what our tools to fight mosquitoes. That's what you see on Monday, on Tuesday night, if you wake up at 1:30 in the morning, see those trucks in your neighborhood. If we identify a mosquito sample in your neighborhood, we have a contract with Dallas County to spray for us. We mainly use an ultra-low volume machine on the back of a truck that drives it in the neighborhood around between 10 and 2 in the morning. In rare instances, when we need to reach a small area, we use a backpack mist blower where a human can walk around in tight spaces and blind for mosquitoes. Our public education element is our fifth element of our program. We are committed to engaging and educating our residents. Therefore, we take every opportunity to communicate with them and keep them informed about the latest activities of mosquitoes, either in their area or in the city. This one, it's yesterday. That's what, if you went to our website, that's what you would see on our website. We also try to reach them in social media too, as well. So this is a Facebook from last week, just telling them exactly where we will be spraying. We also use Everbridge to call anybody that signed up to be notified through our Everbridge. But we cannot do this alone. It's a collaborative effort between the city residents and Dallas County, and that's why we ask our residents to be cautious when they go outside in the mosquito season. We ask them to defend themselves by using insecticide, repellent, and usually we hand those out on city events. We have extra in the office where people come to our office, we give them insecticide. We also ask them to dress in long sleeve and pants and stays indoor between dusk and dawn and drain all stagnant water in their backyards. This is the data. We keep up with a lot of data points to help us determine the best approach to fight mosquito. In this slide, I'm only sharing the last 8 years and 3 data points that we use. We have a lot more data points about mosquitoes, but this shows you the first positive, last positive, and the total numbers for each year. As you see from, if you look at it, it is what we call the late summer disease, West Nile virus. It usually shows up late in June or early in July and lasts all the way to September.
Louis,
Yes, sir.
the total number is the total number of incidents reported or mosquitoes caught?
Positive samples. Positive samples. So we do keep up with, every species of mosquito, how many we collect each week and where we're collecting them. But this specific for this slide is the positive samples that we collect each year. And as I said earlier, it's a collaborative effort between city staff, residents, and Dallas County. So we ask residents to help us through this effort. And those are the 6 different elements that we use to fight mosquitoes in the city. And I'm here to answer any of your questions.
Would you happen to have a list of the different levels? The 4 different levels of...
I do. So we have, what you're referring to is what we call West Nile Virus Index. We have all this data that I showed you, first positive, last positive, and the number of mosquitoes, positive samples, the number of mosquitoes we're collecting, and what type of mosquitoes we're collecting. It goes into an equation. That equation results in a number. Depends on that numbers, it goes to different 4 levels. For example, level number 1, that's where we at today. Level number 2, it's we start spraying on regular basis, not only when we identify positive samples. Level 3 is when I have to come here to ask you start considering aerial spraying. And level 4, it's when we call CDC in Dallas County to come help us with aerial spraying.
Jim?
So is the county only attending to unincorporated areas, and each city is responsible for everything within their boundary?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We've only had one area when we got into level 3 and 4, and that was in 2012,
2012.
as I recall.
Yeah, I remember the aerial spray.
And we actually had a death in the city as a result. So,
Not result of spraying. Result
I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. We had a death from West Nile virus,
Mm-hmm.
and that goes into his equation that moved up the number. I had actually asked, I don't know if this was regularly scheduled or not, but I wanted you guys to at least know that we do have a very formal plan. Louis is very active in the vector control. And if people ask why, there is a escalation stage as the number of mosquitoes, the positive results occur, then we do take different actions.
Everything we do is driven by data. Everything we do.
So anyway, anybody have any questions for Louis?
Well done.
Thank you.
So anybody know what kind of mosquito that was at the very first stage?
A blood-sucking one?
That it was.
I did.
They're all bad.
I did release one mosquito on a fly in this room before my presentation. Just for that fact.
Well done.
You good?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
So anyway, I hope this was useful.
Yeah.
This is, we've got so many different programs that are going in behind the scene that most of the time that we don't even know they're there. And this is one of them. So just to make everybody aware. That is the end of, the time is 6:41. We're at the end of work session. We will move into the council chambers for the regular session of the city council at 7:30. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. The time is 7:30 p.m., and we're here for the regular session of the Coppell City Council. Just as a reminder, any persons wishing to speak during our citizens' appearance or any of the public hearings must sign the appropriate register outside the council chambers and list your address. This evening, we have Parvin Izadi with the Allies Interfaith Group here to give the invocation, and then we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance, so please remain standing. Parvin?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and guests. I am very honored to be here to share an invocation from the Baha'i Faith. O thou merciful God, O thou who art mighty and powerful, O thou most kind Father, these servants have gathered together, turning to thee, supplicating thy threshold, desiring thine endless bounties from thy great assurance. They have no purpose save thy good pleasure. They have no intention save service to the world of humanity. O God, make this assemblage radiant. Make the hearts merciful. Comfort the bounties of the Holy Spirit. Endow them with the power from heaven. Bless them with heavenly minds. Increase their sincerity, so that with all humility and contrition, they may turn to thy kingdom and be occupied with the service to the world of humanity. May each one become a radiant candle. May each one become a brilliant star. May each one become beautiful in color and redolent of fragrance in the kingdom of God. O kind Father, confer thy blessings. Bestow thy gracious aid and confirmation upon this just council. O Lord, confer upon them thy heavenly bounty, and render the outpourings of thy grace and favor, that they may be enabled, by your powerful protection, to discharge their duties with honesty and ability. Thou art the powerful, thou art the giver, thou art the beneficent. Abdul Baha. Amen.
Item number 6 is a proclamation, and I would like to invite Miss Hannah Bilka and her fan club to please come forward. I think we figured out how to get the attendance for city council meetings up here, so thank you very much. Hi. What do y'all do? I'm good. thank you, everybody, for coming out and supporting Hannah. We really do appreciate it. So hear this. Whereas the relentless determination and skill of Coppell's own Hannah Bilka on the hockey rink inspires admiration across the globe, and whereas her fierce passion during her graduate season at Boston College led to 26 points in 21 games, and whereas her unwavering commitment to her team, resilience, and fair play embodies the true essence of sportsmanship, and whereas Hannah will be a key piece to her new team, PWHL Boston, and her leadership on and off the ice has paved the way for future generations of athletes, and whereas Hannah's achievements have brought immense pride to the entire city of Coppell, personifying the spirit of our community and putting Coppell on the map through her exceptional representation. And whereas, let it be known that her achievements stand as a testament to the power of determination and the potential within each of us. Now, therefore, I, Wes Mays, Mayor of the City of Coppell, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, as Hannah Bilka Appreciation Day in the City of Coppell, and urge all citizens to join me in the City Council in honoring Hannah for her accomplishment for being the first American and 4th overall pick in the Professional Women Hockey League draft and signing with PWHL Boston. In witness thereof, I've set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Coppell to be affixed this 23rd day of July, 2024. Oh.
3, 2, 1. Everybody looks great. Camera loves you. Big smiles all around. Huge. Excellent. Oh, beautiful. Thank you, guys.
Now, you know, with every good thing, I hear there's some bad, because you're going to have to be moving out of Coppell to Boston. Is that right? Well, good luck on that. Boston's a nice town. You're going to be welcome back at your mom and dad's house anytime, I'm sure. So we really do look forward to having you back. I hear that you just got back from a very special trip. We want to hear a little bit about that. We'd like to hear about the trophy that I confiscated. And before we let you say anything, I think Mayor Pro Tem Kevin Nevels had a special request.
All right. Well, so number one, I just want to say thank you for being here today. You have brought an incredible amount of pride to the city of Coppell. Congratulations on your draft. That's absolutely amazing. So I was wondering if you would sign my stick. Okay, awesome. All right. I'm bringing it down.
Now, Mayor Pro Tem, I have a question for you. If you were out on the ice against this young lady, who would...
She would crush me.
Oh, so what's not clear is Kevin actually plays in a hockey league at least once a...
Come on now. Yeah, just right there on the white would be perfect.
You play Farmers Branch?
I'm over in McKinney, so I play on 2 teams up there. Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. Hannah, congratulations. I know you are going to be part of this PWHL in Boston. I was asking what's the name of the team, and they have not yet named, but they are calling it PWHL. You know, I lived in Boston for 18 years. She went to BC. I went to Boston University, so we have something in common. It's a great place, like Mayor said, to live there. You already know you went to BC, I mean. Congratulations again for being the great pick. 4th pick, is that what I heard? 4th pick? 4th pick, yeah. We are happy and we are proud of you. Thank you.
So that was the 4th pick, but the first American.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Did you have anything you wanted to say?
Thank you for having me here on this special day, and I'm very proud to be from Coppell, and very special to be honored here.
Well, thank you very much, and we look forward to having you come back. And I do want to see you and Kevin out on the ice sometime just to see how that goes. So,
Mayor, she's going to kill me out there.
You know. Oh, you didn't talk about the trophy.
So this is the we call it the mini national championship that each of our teammates get, and the real one that we get is a lot bigger than that. But this is just kind of the travel size that I can take around. What?
NCAA.
Oh, yes. So this is for the NCAA Division I National Championship with Ohio State. We beat Wisconsin 1-0 in the finals.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Oh, thanks for having me. Sure.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
You're going to take that? All right, item number 7 is a presentation from MetroCrest Services regarding homelessness, which is a growing concern in the entire country and in Dallas especially, and since we're next door to them, us as well. Presenting is Melanie Myring, who's going to give us a little talk about homelessness in the area. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for having me. Good evening, everyone. I don't have anything as exciting as your last presentation, but this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I just wanted to share with you a little bit about homelessness and then tell you what MetroCrest is doing in our community to kind of combat some of the things that we're seeing. Before I start talking, I want you to think about homelessness maybe in a different way, because we all have ideas of what homelessness is, because we see adults, particularly those experiencing chronic homelessness, pushing shopping carts. But I want you to think about what homelessness is, which is people who live in daily instability, who have had some kind of event and they've gotten toppled and they can't get back. So people who are living in daily instability with mental illness, with divorce, job loss, being priced out of the market for a home and then losing your job, a car repair, something that you can't afford, gets people started on a trajectory that once it gets started, sometimes it's very hard to stop it, and oftentimes it completely unwinds and they find themselves living outside. If you think about 30% of Americans can't cover a $400 expense, an emergency expense, and 78% of Americans right now are living paycheck to paycheck. So it doesn't take very much for them to end up living in their car or living in the streets, which is kind of an odd thing, because if you think of most of the people in this room, we have all kinds of social capital that could help us if something like that happened to us and we didn't have any savings. But these are folks that are already living on the edge. So when you start thinking about them more in a humanity kind of way, it makes you kind of stop and ponder who are these people and how did that not happen to me, or how does that not happen to someone that I know? So when we talk about them and we work with them, we kind of see them maybe through a different lens, because that's what we do. So what I want to do is talk to you about, have I done that? Of course I did. It's me. So homelessness really is not a lifestyle, it's an emergency. So people they're living outside and they're just trying day to day how to figure out how to eat, how to get their medical needs taken care of, how they're going to get from point A to point B. So a lot of times you'll hear people say, well, they don't want to go inside, they're happy where they are. And oftentimes people will say that to us. Many times it's because they're dangerous. Shelters are dangerous places for people to stay. They're full of people, it's crowded, it's loud. And there's extenuating circumstances that keep them from wanting to be inside. If you ask people if they want to go to an apartment, oftentimes that's a very different answer. But it's a complicated issue, and so what I wanted to spend just a little bit of time talking with you about tonight is what that looks like. And nationally, it looks a lot like that in our area. You'll see that there's more men than women that are out on the streets. You'll see the proponents of youth that are out on the streets are in the LGBTQI community. And if you take a look at the average age range and life expectancy of someone experiencing homelessness, you'll see that it's 50 years old. So once you get out on the streets, you age quickly, and oftentimes medical problems will overtake your situation. Okay, I'm not sure how these slides got in here like this, but we're going to talk about this. One of the things that Tracy Leach had asked me to do when I came here was talk about what our service area looks like for Coppell and how many people that we're serving in MetroCrest services in a year. So this last calendar year, we worked with 547 people that were coming into MetroCrest services for some kind of service, whether that was food pantry, whether it's rent and utilities. It could be that they were coming in for financial counseling, for jobs, and it could be that they were people that were living on the streets. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go off book because for some reason we have two different slideshows going. So one of the things that it's important for you to note is that when we meet people that are living out on the street, getting them off the street is really complicated. And I think probably Mayor Mays has been getting an education as he's been going down to Dallas just to see about what do we do with all the people that are living on the street and how does that affect us in Coppell. So when you look at someone who's experiencing literal homelessness, which means they're living in a place that's not meant for human habitation, there's a very stringent process that they have to go through to get back into housing through the COC, because the federal government has two distinct housing programs for them that requires what we would think of as very basic needs like identification, birth certificate, social security card. So when you're living out on the streets and you don't have money and you don't have a computer to order documents, you don't have an address for them to send it to, and you don't have any way to make it to the DMV, just getting a driver's license or some kind of state-issued ID becomes a serious problem, and oftentimes they'll never get it replaced once they lose it. So agencies like MetroCrest helps them get back their documents so we can move them forward, because you actually have to have an ID to get into a shelter. So if you don't have those things, shelter is not an option for you, even if they had a bed. So we've got about 5,000 people living on the streets in Dallas every night. We know that from the PIC count, but what happens to those numbers is that when you have one number for homelessness, you could almost triple it, and that will really tell the story of how many people are out on the streets. Because those numbers are made by doing a count in one specific time in one night, there's no way that people can canvass all of the streets and find the people who are living outside. So those numbers kind of float. And there's about 582,000 people they're saying on the streets in this country, but you really need to triple it. Even if you just looked at the encampments in Los Angeles, you would be well over 100,000 people. So, but that looks different in our area, right? Because we go do a PIC count and we look for folks that are living in our area and count them. But you get to Coppell and you might have 6 people. And people will say, well, we don't have a problem with homelessness, but it only takes one person that's living on the sidewalk or sleeping on the sidewalk to alarm people, because it's scary, it's unknown, people don't know how to deal with that. So for folks that are living outside, really the process starts for them with agencies like ours, and there's really a very limited thing that we can do with them. One is that we go out on street outreach, and we're going out to look for people to meet them where they are, whether that's underneath a bridge, living in their car, staying on the sidewalk. We want to see who they are and what they need. So we want to say, you know, I'm Melanie from MetroCrest. How can I help you? What are you doing out here? How did you get here? And then from there, it's like, do you want to go to shelter? And if that is, then we have to find a shelter that has a bed. And I just told you that there's about 5,000 people living on the streets in Dallas. There's 2,000 shelter beds. I may be a social worker, but that math doesn't add up very well. So if you get into inclement weather and it's really hot or it's really cold, no one leaves the shelter because they're not going to give up a bed. So even if they wanted to go in, the chances are very, very slim. And if they come and ask you for shelter at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's done. Every shelter in town's already done all of their intakes. There isn't a bed. So we can talk to them about shelter. We can talk to them about getting on the housing list. We currently have about 38 people in the housing list right now, and they'll sit there upwards of a year before they get placed. If you're a veteran, you can get placed in housing sooner. And the other thing that we're really working hard on, and what I'm really proud of, is our diversion services. And that is there a place that we can get you where you will no longer be experiencing homelessness? We know that you're going to be out on the streets or in a shelter for over a year to get housed. But if we sent you back to Cincinnati, is there a family member that you could stay with? Is there someone in Chicago where you came from that would take you in if you could get there? Because people get stuck here geographically. Sometimes so buying bus tickets, this is one of the ways that we can get people back to where they came from in a way that they will no longer be staying on the streets. So we look at street outreach, we have diversion. Document procurement is a huge thing in what we do. It takes about 8 weeks to get somebody their documents because you have to start all over many times with just getting a birth certificate and then getting a social security card. And those kinds of things take money, so we will be working with people for months sometimes before they have those. But once you have your documentation, you can actually get a job. You can get into a shelter. You can get housed if that's the route that you're wanting to go. So we spend a lot of time trying to figure out what it is you need and how do we get you there. Let me see what we've got here. So one of the things that we talk about in all the presentations that we do for cities and for the community is what can you do and what can't you do. It's not illegal in this country yet to be experiencing homelessness. And there's a lot of different cities that are taking different measures to get people off the streets, not panhandling, so they're not sleeping, so they're not camping somewhere, where they're not staying in places that are not meant for human habitation. But I'm here to tell you tonight that we can't arrest people out of homelessness. We can't ticket them enough, and we can't put them in jail. It takes about $40,000 a year to keep someone out on the streets. What they've done is they've taken a look at what it costs for average medical, police, fire, jail, to keep people out and housed. And I keep thinking to myself, what would happen if we had $40,000 for every single person that we work with at MetroCrest? To date this year, we've worked with over 800 people. And that's just in our service area, which is Carrollton, Farmers Branch, Addison, and Coppell. We've got 38 people on the waiting list, and we have diverted 31 people, which includes about 42 with the families that we've sent back to places where they are no longer experiencing homelessness or living in their cars. Those are pretty impressive stats for our little team. There's 2 full-time staff and myself, and then we have about 14 volunteers who go out with us on the streets to meet people where they are and say, hey, there's somebody that sees you, what do you need, and how do we get you there? Living here isn't really an alternative and a very good solution. We want you somewhere where you're housed and you have the freedom to make choices for yourself and make whatever kind of life you want. Let me see, this was a skeleton presentation that I sent. And I don't know why we have this looking like this. So here's the things that we do with diversion, outreach, emergency shelter, and supportive housing. This gentleman here was living outside for about 5 years, and he had lived in Carrollton his whole life. So the myth that people are traveling around to experiencing homelessness really doesn't exist. People, Houston, Texas has one of the best homeless response programs in the country, and people aren't teaming on buses to go down there. People typically become homeless within 2 miles of where they lived. That's aside from people who get stuck here geographically, and we see that all the time in the services that we provide in our area. So what we do when we ask people, how do we get involved? We ask people to come out and go on the streets with us and see people where they are. We ask people to come and volunteer at the showers. We have street-side showers that comes to Carrollton on Fridays. What we want to do is restore dignity and hope and build a relationship and hope that will allow them to trust somebody to get them somewhere different. Because that's what we want for folks, but we can't make them do something they don't want to. So it's all about the relationship. We have currently about 14 volunteers, and 4 of them are from Coppell that come over every single week to go out on the streets with us and meet our people at the showers. Lovely people, and we couldn't do the work that we do without volunteers. And that's something that we're always looking for. Who's willing to go out there and just say, hey, I see you as a human. What can we do for you? And then we have some great groups that come and they put food packs together for us, and they make sure that we have coats in the winter for those that are outside, because we don't want to help people stay outside, but we also don't want them to freeze to death in our area. We want to make sure that they're okay and again, help them get somewhere different. So That's a very short presentation for something that I could talk about for hours, but I thought you might have some questions, and I'm happy to answer anything that you might have.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Sure.
It's, as you mentioned, some of the meetings that I've been going to throughout the region have been very definitely focusing on homelessness, which is the mayors from around the country are admitting
Yeah.
their biggest problems. So
It's
you know,
difficult.
and it's definitely here and something that we can't ignore. Council, do you have any questions? Councilmember Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. Melanie, good to see you. Thank you for the presentation. I do hear from her a lot in the MetroCrest board meetings every 2 months. I'm proud to serve on the city liaison to the MetroCrest, so I hear a lot more numbers. My question for you is, when the residents see a homeless person in Coppell, they sometimes call the police. And how do you work with the police department in Coppell? Can you explain that to the residents who's watching online?
Sure. We have a good relationship with the folks, all of the city services in Coppell. The police officers, we're talking with them about doing some more training, but what we do with all the cities that we serve is if there's a concern and the police officers want some help, we'll go out and meet them with the folks and where they live and see what we can do to help get them off the streets and get them started. We also have officers that will bring folks over to MetroCrest if folks get stuck and they don't really know where they're going. And they'll bring them over so we can just start engaging in that kind of relationship. You have a really nice group of folks that work over here that are really compassionate about the people that they meet living on the street. So their communication is high, and they're always wanting to figure out how they can serve them better and work in conjunction so we can do something to move them forward.
Seeing no other questions.
Great.
I'm assuming that, when is the next point in time count?
The point in time count is the last Thursday in January every year. HUD sets that precedence, so that's the time they count for the entire country. And any community that is served by the continuum of care, which is housing forward for us here in Dallas County, is tasked with doing a point in time count in the area where we serve. So we get all kinds of volunteers to go out, and at a defined area and point in time, we'll go out and do interviews with folks that we find living on the streets. And that's where we start getting our numbers. And then they'll count folks that are also in the shelter.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Prem Kumar.
I'm just curious. You said the third Thursday in January?
It's the fourth Thursday of January every year.
Is there a reason why we pick the coldest time of the year to do that?
They pick it because it's the coldest time of the year. Specifically, they do that because they think that it will drive more people into warming stations and shelters, so they'll be easier to find and easier to count.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I know that this topic is not going to go away anytime soon,
No.
and we expect to be more actively engaged in the future.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for everything that you and MetroCrest do for us. Okay, item number 7 is our citizens' appearance. Did we have anybody sign up to speak? No. Okay. Seeing none, we're going to skip over the reading of that. And number 9 is our consent agenda. The consent agenda is routine in nature and is generally enacted in a single motion. These items have been previously approved through the budget or past council actions. Any item may be pulled and considered separately. Full descriptions are available on the screen. We do have consent agenda items 9A through 9D, I believe. E? Yes, sir. Councilmember Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that we approve the consent agenda items A through E.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mayor Pro Tem Nevels. All in favor?
Walker, Hinojosa Smith, Nevels, Prem Kumar, Matthew, and Hill, all in favor. None opposed. Motion carries.
All right. Item number 10 is our city manager report with project updates, future agendas, and direction from work session. Mr. Land.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Council. Just a couple of items this evening. First, I want to we are still getting the numbers finalized but on the cleanup, it looks like it's coming in around $275,000 for the cleanup for the debris. And if you recall, when we came to council, we talked about an upward number of around 400,000. So the final number is still being developed, but it looks like it's approximately about 275. Woodhurst, the sanitary sewer installation is complete. 98% of the water line is installed. The storm drain installation is to begin within a week or two, and street paving from the cul-de-sac to Hillhaven is complete, and sidewalks are being constructed. South Beltline, the punch list is close to complete, and the contractor is beginning to do the work on the electric service for the digital sign. And DART complete closure of Freeport is scheduled for August the 2nd through August the 5th. Complete closure of Southwestern is scheduled from August the 9th through August the 12th. And work continues on street pavement repair at Freeport. So, Mayor, that concludes my comments.
Thank you very much. Item number 11 is the mayor and council reports on recent and upcoming events. Just a little highlight and to pat ourselves on the back, not necessarily this council, but previous councils and our citizens. Travel and Leisure ranked Coppell as the second best place to live in Texas and the second best place for public schools in Texas. And we rated number 5, the fifth best suburb in the entire United States. So number 5 out of the United States is quite an accomplishment. I'd like to thank this council, previous councils, and previous administrations for all the work that's led into this. I think this is a wonderful testament to the thoughtful planning that we do as a council and have been doing for years. This is not a short-term event, and it's something that we can be very proud of. So thank you very much, council, for your participation in this. I look forward to going forward in the future. Just as a note, our final budget workshop will be next Monday, July 29th, here at Town Center in the upstairs conference room. Please join us as we work diligently to ensure that Coppell maintains its high-quality services, that number 5 ranking, while also respecting your pocketbook. Residents are encouraged to get back and involved in the budget process, attend the public hearings, and provide feedback. Again, that will be next Monday, July 29th at 6 p.m. Item number 12 are council reports concerning items of community interest with no council action or deliberation permitted. I believe we have a report on the Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD from Councilmember Hill. I'm sorry? And Louisville ISD.
All right, let's start off with Louisville. Last week, LISD administrators attended the district's Inspire conference for engaging and collaborating, learning to kick off the 2024 and 25 school year. The Back to School Fair is set for Saturday, August 3rd at Louisville High School. All staff will gather for a 24-25 convocation kickoff event on Tuesday, August 6th. And believe it or not, the first day of the 24-25 school year is only 3 weeks away, which is August 13th. And so let's move on to CFB ISD. Just a very brief a couple of things here for them. CFB is currently onboarding new educators, and their first day of school is Monday, August 12th. And that's it.
Thank you very much. That was short and to the sweet. Okay, item number 13 are public service announcements concerning items of community interest with no council action or deliberation permitted. I believe Councilmember Prem Kumar had something to say.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of Seva International, it's actually a service organization that's all over U.S., and this organization has volunteered in Coppell in the past. They've done the waterway cleaning. So on behalf of them, I would like to extend an invite to the mayor, city council, and all Coppell residents. So they're organizing an event on 9/11, I believe it's a Wednesday, at the Senior Center. And their invitation is, it is with great pleasure that we extend you a cordial invitation to attend Seva 9/11 Day of Service event as our guest.
Your presence would be an honor as we commemorate the lives lost on September 11, 2001, and celebrate the spirit of unity, resilience, and service that emerged in the aftermath of that tragic event. Once again, it's on September 14th, starting at 2 p.m. at our Coppell Senior Center. And they'll also be doing some eco-friendly booths there. Thank you.
Excuse me, one clarification. You just said September 14th?
Oh, sorry, it's September 14th. Thank
14th.
you. 14th.
Thank you. All right. Any other public service announcements? Seeing none, we'll move on. Item number 14, there was no necessary action from the executive session. So there being no further action before this council, we are adjourned at 8:05 p.m.